tuning in to a new video. We'll be continuing the subject of the custodial and non-custodial parental rights and procedures. Like a literal really small speed to go through this time though, luckily. So it'll be a video that's less than an hour. However, we'll touch base on the final notes within the subject and a subject that I was adding into this one, and one that kind of literally like swept the nation and caught a lot of people in a sense of awe, wonder. It drove a lot of people towards change and development, and also became something that we literally had to vote upon in our current election year. And it's a major freaking subject overall. So I'm talking Prop 1. I'm going to touch base like lightly on it in this video, and then I'm going to kind of cover it a tad more in a really fun video where I literally get to bring out a bunch of my like favorite Supreme Court cases that I've literally like put together, and it's going to be referenced within that video. So the Roe v. Wade decision, kind of like overall. It empowered people to take a stand for the rights of the individual to their body, their stance, the protection of their beliefs over the beliefs of different religious freaking views, other individuals, and set the beliefs of the individual who rights of themselves to their own body into that forefront, and stay driven towards the cause and working towards ensuring that all who were affected by the ruling were able to keep their overall right to them to and to literally still have that representation, to have the right to protect what happens with their own body, their right to terminate a pregnancy due to whatever emergencies call may be needed, such as, an unprepared parent, somebody who has been in a situation where they don't feel comfortable, with the partner that they've had. It's too early in their lives, they're not ready, they're children, and there are situations where rapes are also present, and taking away that right to terminate a pregnancy, you're placing somebody in an uncomfortable situation where they no longer have the right to terminate a pregnancy that they aren't comfortable with. They literally are told that they have no right to do so, that they must carry out and have that child, and in doing so, that can lead to resentment of a child, the mistreatment of a child, the neglect of a child, and so many different standards that are all linked to the reasoning behind why the parent may have chosen to terminate a pregnancy. And in taking away that right, it really kind of people into the mindset and the flow of working to preserve the rights that we have fought to have over the years, to kind of distance ourselves from the religious stances and beliefs, to enable people to feel more so as they are accepted within the world beyond the stance of religious views and the set notions of how we in society conduct ourselves. Alright, so once I'm going to do I was going to do like a brief audio check, but with this being on my freaking iPhone and with the plan to literally upload the video right after without any editing, that's going to cause a freaking snag after. So I'll literally just have to play through this, and hopefully the audio is freaking great. And in the off chance I may have to do a separate segment, I would hope to not have to do for this, but we will have to see together. Alright, you guys, I'm going to pull up the info on Prop. I'm going to search for my local area in California. Let's see. Source earlier, we'll finishing off this section that way. Yep, that way I can prop back to that freaking generalized section and touch base on these. As I stated, the rights of the individual. And another reason why I love the recommendation to kind of add this into the video earlier, I was like literally planning out with my mom. She was like, so you can kind of like incorporate it into the video, you know, just do like a tad more research into it, make sure that you're like covering all your bases while like, you know, breaking down the subject to your viewers. And I was like, yeah, you know, I can literally touch base on so many freaking fun aspects pertaining towards the situation. And in the sense of custody, or should I say parental rights, I was like, this one will kind of be one where I won't literally have to do like a literal like custody breakdown per se, because it's still like that early stage where we're talking of a freaking developing fetus, an embryo, and the right to terminate a pregnancy. And I was like, in relation towards parents, I'll however be able to of the right of each of the parents, and they say the freaking arguments that lead up to such situations. Like for the youth, there are a lot of moments when teens have unprotected sex, and then parents are brought into it, or teens have these one-on-one conversations with each other, and you know, the girlfriend's telling the boyfriend, you know, I'm pregnant, and then he's like excited about it. He's like, you know, I'll freaking start a new life. I'm so excited. I'll go get a freaking job at McDonald's. I'll support. And we'll just raise our family, and you know, well, if you can't handle school, you know, you can drop out of school, or you can finish with school, or we'll ask our parents for help, and then we'll just take it over. And the girl is like, you know, no, I literally just want to focus on my studies. I want to complete everything that is required of me, and I want to follow through with my original life plans, and I wanted to inform you of this decision. And then it's that level. It is still her right to literally make that decision to ensure that she has the future that she would like, and overall that will make her a decision in life that will make her unhappy. It may lead to the resentment of her child, and in doing so, it'll lead to that freaking sense of the loss of connection between her child as it develops throughout life. And for the father, it will be like, missed out on if you had literally, well, how many opportunities will you miss out on by following through, by convincing her to keep something that she is not fully comfortable with? Like, it's still this developing freaking embryo. It's like you don't even know the gender yet. You don't know if you really want to fully follow through with this, but you're trusting the notion of your partner that you have no security within knowing that you will freaking still be with them in the future. You're still in love with somebody at a super young age. You're still freaking wondering if blue, or freaking if blue, pink, or magenta are like your favorite freaking colors. And in doing so, you kind of have to literally just think to yourself, in a sense, you know, what is the notion that I must stand behind? Should I stand behind how I truly feel? Or should I take a leap of faith based off of what my partner truly wants? But in doing so, you can't really take a leap of faith but based off of what your partner wants, because overall, how you feel and the stance that you will take in this aspect, especially with being a mother, it's one of those major things where you have to be mindful. You can't literally just get the freaking, okay, for you, my partner, I will follow this tough decision that I really feel uncomfortable about, and I will deal with all the punches later. In doing so, you're sacrificing your own happiness for someone else, and then later it will lead to a resentment of not only your partner, but your child, and the reflection of changed and altered from the original plan that you set in motion and that you wanted throughout your life. which in itself is just freaking sad. But in the flip side, there's the other alternate version of the situation where there is the girl telling the male about the pregnancy, and he is stating to her that he would rather that she terminate the pregnancy. I still want to freaking go to college. I'm not sure if we're gonna still even be together within freaking years or so. We're still extremely young. We have no career aspect. We're still deciding what we want to major in college. Where do we still want to stay in this freaking small town, this city, this freaking village, wherever we live? Is this like all that we'll have in life? I see more for myself. I want to freaking go out on an adventure, and I still wanted to make these decisions with you and see if we were still on the same page. And you're telling me that now there's a child that can be brought into the mix of this, and I'm not ready for it. And then it's the freaking added notion and level of, will she choose to terminate the pregnancy based off of what her partner wants, or will she choose to keep the child? And at a young age, the notion to abort the child is still set within the standards of the allowed abortion period. I believe is up to like around like 120 days or so. And in doing so, once you pass that can survive, the whole like time frame of freaking avoiding your parents, you're basically stuck with that decision. And in doing so, there's that freaking added level of, your life has officially changed from that decision and that point onward. And it's not only your life, it's the life of your partner. So there are often, and still during freaking adult years for a lot of people, that time frame in which they have to reflect upon that decision and kind of realize, there could be that resentment from the parent where the one parent chooses to freaking step out of their freaking partner's life and literally is like, you wanted the child, you raised the child, that will be your aspect of your life. That is something that you wanted that I truly did not want, which adds that level of that resentment that starts before the child is even born, which is that added notion of the neglect of the child on the part of the parent who wishes to not partake within the child's life. And for the other parent, it's the bringing added level of now you have to literally wear the hat of both parents. You literally have to be mindful. You have to figure out how you're going to now create a support system. And having a partner, you are each other's support system, and others around you help to aid you throughout the way. But with losing that like required additional partner, or should I say, your freaking your child's other parent, you kind of lose that sense of, oh gosh, that collaborative notion required to raise the child, which is it's in itself, it's something that affects the child throughout life, and it's kind of just something to be mindful of when making big decisions that affect the children, you and your partners, and also the future of like you and your family overall. You are creating this life for you and your child has to be represented and thought about in a way that is not only just conducive to the dream and aspirations that you seek, but will also be conducive for the life of the child. Literally copied the entire freaking citation rather than just the freaking link. So in pasting it into my freaking browser, I literally like citation pop up, and I was like, what the freaking heck? Top one, and I will be, as I said before, going through the breakdown for Prop 1 in my area, and I believe the second source that I was able to cite covered an overall countrywide breakdown pertaining towards Prop 1. the vote yes on Prop 1 to protect abortion in California. Oh, okay, so both of my sources were cited for my home area. Sorry, guys. Alright, so Proposition 1 will ensure that people have the freedom to make their own medical decisions with their healthcare providers based on specific facts, not a political agenda. So this was kind of the initial drafted portion to inform people of the Prop 1 proposition beforehand. That way, in moving forward, you were able to kind of scroll through and click to get like more facts on Proposition 1 and what would be the mega decision placed on the ballot and what is the stance behind it. The notion was stated that it was sought to provide access to affordable, comprehensive reproductive health care, including abortion and access to contraceptives, allows people to plan their lives and achieve their dreams. No matter what the conservative United States Supreme Court has decided, we must continue to ensure that here in California, health care is a right. Prop 1 would add that right into our state constitution and give the voters a chance to weigh in this November, as it was placed on our ballot as something to vote upon. Join our fight to protect the fundamental right to control your body, including whether to have an abortion, by voting yes on 1 this November, which is an extremely freaking cute notion to kind of like add into that breakdown. And then in the other noted portion, it pertains towards Prop 1 and from the site California Against Prop 1. So as the other was for Prop 1 and the yes to Prop 1 breakdown, this one is set against Prop 1. Prop 1 succeeded barely. Despite our efforts, Prop 1 secured a narrow victory at the March 5, 2024 election. The vote count on Prop 1 was extremely close, with 13,125 voters switching from yes to no. Prop 1 would have been defeated on occasion of the April 12th certification of election results. Our group issued the following statement: Prop 1 succeeded thanks to Gov's endless manipulation. Like a brief breakdown for the next section, and then I'll kind of circle back towards the custodial non-custodial parental rights. That way I can again kind of like keep this one within the parameters of 40 minutes at the max. What's next with Prop 1 and our campaign? Implementation of Prop 1 will be rolled out over 2+ years. We'll be watching and we'll be involved. We hope you will be there too. So the plan is to see how Proposition 1 is able to affect our society over the next few years. It will kind of be an observation period to see if the proposition's approval was a just one, or if it is one that will hinder our society and cause a bunch of freaking hiccups for, let's see, parents allowed to keep that right to their body. And in doing so, if it is shown to be a prevalent idea that can inspire those that are against the proposition to also be for it, it will strengthen the amount of support that the proposition will have later in the future. But as with another proposition that was on our ballot this year pertaining towards slavery within the incarceration system, or should I say what is like the best freaking way to like phrase it without literally just doing like a simple freaking word like penitentiary, within the jail and prison systems. Now, slavery, as you know, was abolished post the Civil War. It was like one of the major things we learned about in high school that everybody's like, we all know that one. But the 13th Amendment allowed for incarceration to be allowed. No, oh my gosh, for slavery to still be allowed in cases where one is incarcerated. And in doing so, it created the breakdown that affected our entire country, where a lot of people were unaware that in a lot of regions, if you are incarcerated, your state has legal parameters to enslave you parameters of your enslavement, and that's kind of like the entire notion of the no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's the freaking clause that sets the notion for your rights, and it was like it was something that was like on the ballot, and I like freaking saw it, and I was so freaking shocked, and I was like, wow, I was not expecting that to be like on the ballot. I was aware of this, but I wasn't expecting it to be like something we voted upon on the ballot this year, and it kind of like threw me for a loop. I was like, and then it's like picking my freaking candidates, reading through our local freaking new regulations, our freaking local officials from our areas, the freaking Senate vote, our freaking House this freaking notion in the midst of it, and I was like, oh god, we were freaking voting on the local freaking school budgets and freaking healthcare freaking plans and freaking initiatives to voting upon, slavery within the freaking prison system, and it was kind of one of those things that literally allows you to literally reflect upon the times and to also be mindful that, such as Roe v. the decision being overturned and how fast it moved throughout the country to create the notion where people are now voting upon the right to protect one's right to abortion. The 13th Amendment allowed for each state to create their own laws, either preserving or completely abolishing slavery within their area. Now, within our area, even if the vote was set to be approved, and the notion to cease slavery was like halted at this moment. Again, with Prop 1, with gaining more supporters for Proposition 1 during our lifetime, it will strengthen the amount of support that we have for that proposition and strengthen the amount of, the amount of support that's given towards preserving the rights towards one's own body. However, as with the 13th Amendment, slavery is still something that can, upon being voted upon, it can still be brought back in later years for later generations, and like let's say maybe even like in the next century or so, it can be voted upon again by an entire new set of people with different mindsets that are freaking just, more geared towards the idea of it, and they could literally just bring it freaking back, even within like the next freaking few decades or so. They could literally just go like, a lot of us feel differently. We lost we lost the freaking overall freaking notion of, the yes to Prop 1ers, and there are now more no and against Prop 1ers out there, and that in doing so, that will literally that freaking right that has now been set and literally approved upon to be taken away, and then it can be voted upon again in the future, and then again after that, and over again, such as the freaking notion of slavery. And it kind of just really just makes you mindful of things that you have to really remember. This is a democratic society where we each have to have that mindset and a voice geared towards creating change, and each vote truly freaking matters. So you have to always make sure that you are ready for a hands-on approach, because you have an overall say in the future of everybody within this country. And in doing so, you can't take a biased approach. You have to be mindful of how you are going to approach situations in a way and a manner that you can literally truly help others understand your stance, and in doing so, help to guide them towards understanding why a stance that you have taken has such an important value behind it. And in doing so, you have to also be mindful that even if you are able to change their mindset for the vote for this year, a lot of things can also be voted upon later in the future. So if you aren't always able to convince somebody to kind of be more geared towards your mindset or your idea at the time, don't feel as though there will be additional chances to vote upon the same major subjects that have hit the scene during like current years later within the future or in like the near future. So it's kind of something where you can always be mindful that you will have a chance again to voice your opinion pertaining towards a subject that you are truly passionate about, and that you truly never have to convince anyone else to share your opinion or your views. the views and opinions of the individual are often not easy to sway or shift. So, in finding a common ground with others and standing behind your stance, you often can set a notion to kind of empower others to be more mindful of their own stances and to stand behind what they believe also. If Prop 1 is not properly implemented, it could be a humanitarian disaster. We have to point out that by the time Prop 1 fully takes effect, Gavin Newsom will be out of office. The voters already showed a lack of enthusiasm for this mess, and its champion will have one foot out of the door as most of the big decisions get made. There is still a chance for stakeholders at every level to influence how Prop 1 works. We must be ready for a 58-foot battle, county by county, but we must also look for legislative opportunities to improve the system. We are evaluating legal challenges that could arrest the implementation of the worst parts of Prop 1, and we will hold people accountable. Advocates of Prop 1 the risk of cuts to local mental health programs, and now will challenge them to make sure cuts don't happen. Governor Newsom fatuously deflected concerns about cuts by saying they come from a scarcity mindset. While he comes from an abundance mindset, he said this while hiding the reality of a state budget deficit measured in the tens of billions of dollars. Outgoing Sacramento Mayor Darrell Steinberg, who has jeopardized his own legacy as a mental health champion by endorsing Prop 1, said on KQED, will existing programs be cut? No, because the world has changed over 20 years. I don't think that's what will happen. There are smart leaders who understand how the system works. They should bring their abundance mindset to make sure that existing programs don't get cut. That would be up. So in doing so, they were able to literally cover the basis of the change in leadership that will be taking place within the next few years, the governors that are currently shifting, the election set for later in the year that will be deciding the freaking Senate stances and overall the votes for new leadership within our local areas. Advocates for Prop 1, stances by people such as the mayor in Sacramento, Darrell Steinberg. Let's see. And the continued freaking battle to keep Prop 1 within place or to have it kind of just voted against. So it's this added notion of that vote that will always be one that can be placed back on the ballot as something to kind of be more mindful of going into the future. After the Supreme Court vote, it kind of set the notion for something outside of our religious stances and beliefs and became something more so of something connected to a ruling that really shifted the views of people throughout our country. And it's amazing. There were freaking, rallies, there were freaking protests, and there was just so much that is taking place pertaining towards Prop 1 and the rights to one's body. There were people freaking advocating towards change and offering their homes and assistance for those who seek to have abortions in areas where they would be able to do so because it was already voted upon within their home areas and then voted against, and in doing so they lost their rights to have abortion in their home areas. And it kind of empowered the nation to really just take a stance and kind of be more mindful of something, and then in doing so our nation became more mindful of this mega freaking situation that kind of affected the lives of everyone within our country. And in voting against this freaking right, it kind of just sets our society back hundreds of freaking years towards the freaking dark ages where we freaking didn't have freaking access to freaking the tools to freaking do things such as abortions. And in doing so, it kind of sets back the notion of, what about all the work that went into this? What about all the fights that went into having this notion? What about everything that this a society that has abortion as one of the freaking major bases of rights that have always been around throughout most of our lives, and then putting that into question, you kind of like alter the plans of a lot of people. People are like, if I freaking I'd rather me get pregnant or have like a one night stand, I can literally just take that everything that I can get a plan B though. I can literally just, kind of save myself and a child from freaking neglect in the future. And if I'm not ready for partner are both like on the same page about me not being ready for this, I can literally freaking have an abortion and we can literally stick to our original plans and hopefully one day try again later in the future. But the mindset to literally, for a lot, the mindset to literally just focus upon this child that hasn't gotten a chance to develop yet, it's kind of that level where they kind of have to mark the notion of not truly being attached to something that hasn't really gotten a chance to form into an actual person yet. And in doing so, that's kind of one of the things that's led to like a mega debate of, the rights of the fetus, the rights of the freaking embryo. And in doing so, it kind of preserved that freaking stance that a lot of us have, where that is a right to one's individual body. You can't kind of sort of debate about everything and literally make people feel as though they don't have a right to their own body and their own person, their own stance, and to their own life. And in doing so, you kind of work towards prevailing society forward in the way that it has been moving towards, because in setting us back that far, you kind of give those that take a religious stance towards the notion that say over those that have been working towards a society where you are free to worship whatever religion you believe in. You are free to freaking start a business that represents your freaking religion. You are able to have a stance that is different from your freaking religious notion, and you are able to literally follow a stance where you have no religious notion also, and all are accepted. So it sets the notion for the future, and in setting society back, you kind of hinder all the progress and work that is coming to that. So it was something that was super major. Alright, you guys, so I'm going to finish up the custodial, the non-custodial section. We are at 32 minutes, so let's see if we can still get this done in 40 minutes. I would say maybe 45 max, but there are only like a few more notes, so we should be able to finish this up by the 40-minute mark. In certain situations, such as medical emergency, with those, okay, so this one pertains towards the right to information, and I kind of added this extra section to kind of like go with supporting that. So I'll read the right to information first, and then I'll circle back to the section. So the right to information pertains towards the rights of non-custodial parents within any given emergency situation. The non-custodial parent has the right to be informed about their child's education, health, and other significant matters. So as stated in the first video, you can make major decisions as the custodial parent, but the non-custodial parent still has the right to be informed of anything pertaining towards education, religious stances and changes in your life, emergency situations, health updates, and anything else that may happen within your child's life that falls within the parameters of typical major decisions that you would share with your partner pertaining towards your child can be included typically within the right to information, unless it's something that's literally like extremely like private, like what's my child doing right now, like don't freaking call my phone literally and go like, well, I have a right to freaking know what my child's doing right now. Well, your child is literally like taking a nap right now, like you don't have to literally like call and freaking demand information pertaining towards that. But in other situations, it's like, of course I would want you to be informed on anything that is taking place, which is why the notion of always having your phone charged and ready to be informed of anything that may take place with your partner or your child is essential in life. In certain situations, such as medical emergency or those involving major life decisions, the custodial parent may have to keep the non-custodial parent informed and involved in decision making. Non-custodial parents are also responsible for providing financial support for their children. This support typically comes in the form of child support payments, which are determined according to statutory guidelines and consider factors such as each parent's income and their child's needs. While non-custodial parents may have less time with their children than custodial parents, they can still play a vital role in their children's lives. They can maintain strong bonds with their children through regular visitation, active involvement in their education, curricular activities, and open communication with the custodial parents. So that one was touched base upon a tad bit towards the end of the last video. But in doing so, that one really just works to reference the right to information, the right to be a part of your child's life, and the right as the custodial parent to allow your non-custodial partner to do so. And in doing so, you work towards strengthening the bond that you have with your partner, your child, and you also kind of get to feel more so as you are in control of the aspects that will help shift who your child becomes in the future. And it's a great aspect in itself. You strengthen bonds and you create a guided plan that is geared towards propelling your child forward and also creating a stable life for them. This section, this one is fun. It's a breaking chart breakdown that compares the aspects of the custodial and the non-custodial parents. So I'm going to read through a brief decent butt of it. I'm going to read through the entire breaking chart, you guys, and let's see. For the definitions, we've got 8 definitions, and then it's going to be the custodial v non-custodial breakdowns. So aspects, and let's see, custodial parent, legal guardian, primary, so this is the definition. Legal parent, primarily responsible for the child. Non-custodial parent, parent who does not have primary physical custody but retains rights. Responsibilities, custodial, full-time care, housing, and everyday needs of the child. Non-custodial, may have responsibilities specified by court, such as child support. Day-to-day care, custodial, direct oversight of daily activities and needs. Non-custodial, typically does not engage in daily care but has visitation rights. Decision-making authority, custodial, major decisions about education, healthcare, etc. Rights to participate in major decisions of sharing legal custody. Legal obligation to inform, custodial, must keep the non-custodial parent informed about significant matters such as emergencies. Non-custodial, right to be informed about specific aspects of the child's life. So information shared by the custodial parent to the non-custodial parent entails the information that the non-custodial parent is legally able to be informed upon, and the right of the obligation stands between the custodial and non-custodial parent. And the custodial parent has the legal obligation to provide the non-custodial parent with said information if requested and required. And there is still the big notion of these pertain towards significant matters. So again, as stated, they can literally call you up and ask you, oh gosh, like, what's my kid eating for dinner tonight? It's like, no, it's more so as, I know there hasn't been like there's been like a bunch going on. I know it's been like a big like financial freaking snag going on within the household. Has my child been eating? Which will freaking kind of lead towards a notion of, court cases where it's like, well, I know I'm not the custodial parent. I know I can't freaking take the stance of going, I'm going to remove my kid from the situation, or I'm going to literally make it a point to be more so make sure that my child has food, because I know my child has no food, and sometimes there's no dinner within the freaking household or so. And it's more so of the aspect of that would be something to bring forth as evidence of neglect within the household. But when calling to ask literally what are they eating for dinner tonight, it's kind of not something where you literally have to go, well they're having chicken Please sad. Like, you kind of don't really have to do that. It's just something cute that you like can do if you're comfortable with your partner and if they're asking in a freaking in a matter where they seek information or are in a just or also in a matter of are literally just kind of like playfully making the notion but still seek the information to be informed of, the lives of their partner and their child. Custodial, not applicable. You are the primary physical caregiver. Include supervised or unsupervised visitation. So depending on what you agree upon sets the standard for the non-custodial parent. Do you want it to be a relationship where they can visit the child and supervisor or you supervise their visitation? Or are you going to allow your partner to actually be able to premises and bring them to their own home or to events off of the let's see out of the primary home? Is the right of the custodial parent to set that boundary level or the right of the courts to set the boundary level depending on the custody agreement and the agreements that you set upon with your partner? Custodial typically holds legal custody, which includes making major life decisions. Non-custodial may share legal custody and decision making depending on agreement. So in certain situations, a non-custodial parent can have the rights granted and provided to the custodial parent pertaining towards making decisions upon the approval of the custodial parent or the courts. Dispute resolution custodial involved in mediation, arbitration, and litigation if disagreements arise. Same as custodial parent with rights to dispute resolutions by way of mediation, a person who is set within the middle who is non-biased, find a guided plan that will assist arbitration and litigation following legal proceedings. Minutes, so we will probably finish this out at, I would say, maybe like 48 minutes or so. Overall, we did do it in under an hour, which is pretty freaking great. I was expecting to have this finish in like 20 minutes, but Prop 1 really was one that was like a great it was a great connective piece, and it also helped to literally touch base upon the 13th Amendment, as well as parents. So it was super freaking interesting. And thanks everybody for going out and voting and for doing your parts. It literally helps us every day to know that all of our citizens are active and working towards shaping a better future where we each have a say and are active in making choices that will help not only us but our future youth as they grow to feel as though their voices truly matter, their stances truly matter, and that they are aware that they are important to our society overall, and that we can't make another day happen without their work, effort, and their drive to just literally create not only for themselves but for everyone within our economy. Alright, you guys, so I'm going to finish with retroactive that will tie together everything. I'm going to literally just do like a brief breakdown for this paragraph, and then I'm going to conclude it after. That way I don't hit the freaking like 50-minute mark, because it's literally gonna be like nearly there. What is retroactive child support? Retroactive child support refers to financial assistance accrued before a judge issued a child support order. This is contrasted with prospective support, which refers to financial aid that must be paid to provide for the children in the future. Past due child support, also known as or back support, consists of court-ordered support payments that were not paid according to the court's schedule. Both retroactive and prospective child support can include additional expenses related to the child, referred to as add-ons, and can be mandatory per statute or within the court's discretion. In most cases, the court will order one parent to make regular payments to provide for their minor children during a divorce or custody proceeding. These orders are not automatic and must be requested by contacting the local courthouse through the Department of Child Support Services or filing a motion directly with the court. In some instances, a parent does not request financial assistance until months or years after the custody or divorce proceedings start. In these cases, the requested parent may request reimbursement for the expenses they incurred supporting the children before the order from the court has been actually set in motion, or should I say decided upon. For example, one parent may file a petition for divorce or custody, immediately move out of the household, and live separately with the children for 6 months before they formally request child support through the court. In that case, they are eligible for reimbursement of their child-related expenses incurred from the date they filed the petition to the date the court issued the order. So you are eligible for reimbursement from the date in which you file your petition to the date the court issues the order for the child support to be provided. So you are eligible for reimbursement for the time that you were not able to literally kind of just stake a claim, I'm ready for my child support. I'm ready to leave the household and completely start a separate life. So I'm going to need you to kind of be mindful and give me my freaking money. And you can't do that. In doing so, you literally file your freaking petition, and the court will literally look upon that and go, well, you left the household. Take care of the child alone, or should I say children or child, and in doing so, you are entitled to the support that you require to take care of said children. And in doing so, you are able to be reimbursed for the expenses incurred during the process, and also you are entitled to the requested funds necessary to take care of said children. Guys, I am literally nap 3 hours ago, and I literally freaking just did my shower flow. I freaking talked with a few of my friends on the phone for a decent bit. I got to talk to my friend who actually inspired the original first part of this video, luckily, and her and her partner utilizing a bunch of the tips and using it to strengthen their relationship, as well as working towards improving their communication within the relationship. And it is super freaking awesome. It literally was the best. I woke up from my nap to the freaking phone call, and I was I'm gonna freaking fall back to sleep. And I looked over the phone and I was like, oh, hey you. And she told me on all the great information. So I literally was alright, I'm gonna pop up out of bed. I'll literally do one more freaking video to touch base on these subjects, and probably grab some grubs after, and then nap again. Freaking day. I have a freaking discussion post to work on. It's my final freaking week of one of my newest courses, and I'm looking forward to completing it and having, like, I think I have 4 courses left after this until I complete my bachelor's. So fingers crossed, wish me luck, guys, and be sure to go check us out on all of our social platforms. We are on Instagram, DKHLegalAid, X, DKHLegalAid, TikTok, DKH.legal.aid, and check out our website for a consultation pertaining towards legal proceedings and any advising or consultation needs that you may have pertaining towards legal advice, as well as training, booking an educational course pertaining towards learning the English language, improving your literacy proficiency, and in learning the actual English language for our non-native English speakers. I love you guys so much. I will talk to you later.